Welcome to Soul Care, a time to pause in your week and to consider how it is with your soul, how it is with God. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin was a French Jesuit priest and philosopher. He died mid-20th century, and his writing has been embraced by Protestants and also people of the New Age movement. Spiritual writer. I'd like to share with you a piece that he called Patient Trust. Above all, trust in the slow work of God. We are quite naturally impatient in everything to reach the end without delay. We should like to skip the intermediate stages. We are impatient of being on the way to something unknown, something new, and yet it is the law of all progress that it is made by passing through some stages of instability, that it may take a very long time. And so I think it is with you. Your ideas mature gradually. Let them grow. Let them shape themselves without undue haste. Don't try to force them out as though you could be today what time, that is to say grace and circumstances acting on your own goodwill, will make of you tomorrow. Only God could say what this new spirit gradually forming within you will be. Give God the benefit of believing that God's hand is leading you, and accept the anxiety of feeling yourself in suspense and incomplete. This resonates with me. How slow things seem to be right now, and how incomplete life feels. We have to be patient, I guess. Well, Job was patient. He's known for that. That's what everyone always says, to have the patience of Job. It's considered a virtue. Really, the book of Job, though, is a story of human struggle to find meaning in life when nothing makes sense. Job never lived, actually. He is a creation of fiction, the character in a legend that was probably written down around the year 500 BCE, while the people of Israel were in exile. That was a time when they didn't understand what was happening, and they cried out to God for meaning in life, a sense in a foreign land of still having their identity as the people of Israel. The story is universal. It appears in many different forms in world literature. For us, Job struggles with whether God grants blessings to those who are righteous or not. That's the conventional wisdom. If you're good, you will be rewarded. But really, that's not how life works. People get cancer and die from COVID disease, not because they're bad people. Earthquakes and wildfires destroy locations, not because the communities do not love God. The book of Job starts like a fairy tale. There was once a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. That man was blameless and upright, one who feared God and turned away from evil. There were born to him 7 sons and 3 daughters. He had 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 donkeys, and very many servants, so that this man was the greatest of all of the people in the East. Sounds like a fairy tale. Well, tragedy befalls Job. He looks for good, but evil comes. He waited for light, but all he got was darkness. He lost his wife and all his children, all of his flocks. His body became covered with boils. And he says, "My inward parts are in turmoil and are never still. Days of affliction come to meet me. I go about in sunless gloom. I stand up in the assembly and cry for help. I'm a brother of jackals and a companion of ostriches. My skin turns black and falls from me, and my bones burn with heat." Throughout it all, though, he claims, "I know that my Redeemer lives." He refuses to stop believing in God. He is the one who grapples with the age-old question of theodicy, it's called. How can bad things happen to good people? We never get an answer to this question because it is a mystery. But the end of the story of Job is impossible in real life. It's a fairy tale ending. In the chapter 42, at the end of the book, it says, "And the Lord restored the fortunes of Job, and the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then there came to him all his brothers and sisters and all who had known him before, and they ate bread with him in his house. They showed him sympathy and comforted him for all the evil that the Lord had brought upon him, and each of them gave him a piece of money and a gold ring. The Lord blessed the latter days of Job more than his beginning, and he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 donkeys. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. In all the land there were no women as beautiful as Job's daughters, and their father gave them an inheritance along with their brothers. After this, Job lived 140 years and saw his children and his children's children 4 generations. And Job died old and full of days." Well, we know in this coronavirus pandemic there will be an end, but it will not be a happy ending like that. It will not be an ending with everything returned to normal, or better yet, parents who have died of the virus will not be returned. Economies will be forever affected. There will no doubt be holes in children's education. We understand this world, this suffering in our world, in terms of science today. Unheard of in the time before the Common Era, the time of Job. There was then no understanding of the natural world as we know it today. Yet even with science today, we still have mystery. There's so much we still do not know. Why is there suffering? Is still a question. There just is. And it's not equally or fairly distributed. Our task is to do what we can to mitigate suffering by employing science and social consciousness to do no harm and to do good. But the third rule of John Wesley's 3 general rules of the church is to obey the ordinances of God, or in the contemporary language of Bishop Reuben Job, same name, Job, stay in love with God. So the rules are do no harm, do good, and stay in love with God. Through it all, we try to have patience and perseverance and continue to find a steady course in God. That's the staying in love with God part. In the book of James, in the New Testament, the writer says, "Be patient, therefore, beloved, until the coming of the Lord. The farmer waits for the precious crop from the earth, being patient with it until it receives the early and the late rains. You also must be patient. Strengthen your hearts, for the coming of the Lord is near. Beloved, do not grumble against one another, so that you may not be judged. See, the judge is standing at the doors." As an example of suffering and patience, beloved, take the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord. Indeed, we call blessed those who show endurance. You have heard of the endurance of Job, and you have seen the purpose of the Lord, how the Lord is compassionate and merciful. I'm not sure that the legend of Job proves anything, really. I believe it mirrors the human quest for understanding. The happy ending was meant to teach in a time very long ago that believing in God is always worth it. But really, it is out of desperation sometimes that we cry out to God, "Why, oh God?" It seems to help to believe that someone, some force, or some being somewhere listens to our cries. The work of God is slow. But if in the whirlwind we can imagine a voice, that presence is a help in tough times. May you find that presence. May it be well with your soul.